Coming up on Size Eyes on the Skies.
Well, a pleasant good evening to everyone here across central Iowa. It is a pleasant evening to be out and about. We're taking a live look right now from I-35 in Clear Lake. You can see the sun is up this evening, skies are clear, and temperatures are very warm. Let's take a look at the almanac for today. You can see the high at Ames today was a toasty 83 degrees. That was after our morning low of 43 degrees, so a pretty big swing here in the temperatures across the area today thanks to all that dry air. And you can see we were well above normal compared to where we should be for this time of year. Coming up, I'll tell you how much more warmth we will see and when our rain chances will return.
Plus, Benji has your national forecast. Size Eyes on the Skies starts now.
Live from Studio 171 in Ames, Iowa, the Iowa State Meteorology Department team of meteorologists brings you the latest weather from around the country and out your front door. Iowa State's longest-running television program and the only live weather broadcast on campus starts right now. This is Size Eyes on the Skies.
Good evening, and welcome to Size Eyes on the Skies. I'm Jacob Steeser. It's time for this day in weather history. On this date in 1836, a second early snowstorm produced 11 inches in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and 26 inches in Auburn, New York. All northeastern U.S. mountains had snow coverage. Up next, Benji has a look at your national forecast.
Thanks, Jacob. Let's look at tonight's national forecast. First, let's take a look at temperatures from around the country right now. We got 68 in Seattle, 75 in Minneapolis, but 100 degrees in Phoenix right now. We take a look at satellite and radar. It is very calm right now throughout the entire country. We got a couple showers down near Florida, but other than that, it's pretty dry throughout the entire country. But the main event, however, is Hurricane Delta now. It's no longer a tropical storm. It's currently a Category 4, and with the warm ocean temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico and low shear in the area, it is expected to intensify. And New Orleans is again in the cone. If we extended the cone, like the National Weather Service did, New Orleans is in that area, and Lake Charles, who got hit by a hurricane earlier this year, is also at risk. So this is a very strong situation right now. 145 mile an hour wind currently, 956 millibars, which is extremely low pressure. Typical sea level pressure around the world is 1,013 millibars, so it is very low pressure down there right now. But let's take a look at temperatures throughout the country right now. 75 in Minneapolis, like I mentioned, 64 in North Platte, Nebraska, 62 in Detroit, pretty much 60s and 70s currently in the Midwest. If you look at the Northeast right now, 57 in Albany and 62 in Buffalo, a little bit chillier right now. There's a little bit of a trough going through the northeast part of the country, keeping those temperatures cool in that part of the country. If you look down south, in the southeast, we got 82 in Miami, 78 in New Orleans, and 67 in Oklahoma City. So mostly 70s throughout the southeast. Down the southwest, still battling those wildfires. 100 degrees in Phoenix, 72 in Salt Lake City, but 70 in Grand Junction. So a little bit of a relief, but still a very serious situation. But the fires are being handled under control right now. As we move on to the northwest, we got 67 in Rapid City, 68 in Seattle, 84 in Medford. It is pretty similar 70s and upper 60s in the country right now. If we look ahead throughout if we go on to our national futurecast, it is going to stay pretty much dry throughout. I'll show you why as we look into our 500 millibar maps. If we look at the end of this site, you can see a little bit of Hurricane Delta coming in just south of Houston. If we look onto that is Hurricane Delta, and it's supposed to come ashore in Louisiana later this week. If we look at the upper atmosphere right now, as you can see, I was mentioning that trough, kind of by Chicago, Toronto, how the heights drop down a little bit. That is that trough bringing in the cooler temperatures to the northeast, but then look at the orange for a majority of the country, which is keeping us mainly in those 70s that I was mentioning earlier. As this moves along forward, the northeast trough is kind of moving out over the ocean, and we're pretty much this ridge pattern is going to stick around throughout the entire country, keeping temperatures pretty warm throughout the entire day. As we look on to our extended forecast, which is New Orleans, Louisiana, possible landing spot of Hurricane Delta. We got thunderstorms on Thursday, Friday, some rain on Saturday, 70%, 80%, and 70% chance of rain. But after Hurricane Delta, they have 90s on Sunday and Monday, with lows in the 70s.
Now here's our weather question for the day. About how many acres of land has the California wildfires burned? A. 500,000 acres. B. 1 million acres. C. 4 million acres. Or D. 6 million acres. We'll have the answer coming up, but first, here's your Iowa forecast with Trey.
Welcome back to Size Eyes on the Skies. Let's take a look now at your Iowa forecast. We're going to begin with a look at our current conditions here. Temperatures remain warm this evening, upper 70s here in the Ames area with dew points in the mid 40s. And so that lets us know that our air is pretty dry and it is a fairly comfortable evening. So if you've got plans to be out and about this evening, really no major concerns for you. Look at temperatures right now across the state. You can see we are ranging from the lower 70s over across the Mississippi River Valley to the lower 80s across our western and northwest counties this evening. So temperatures are warm, above average compared to where we should be for this time of the year. A look at the Doppler radar this evening. You can see a clean sweep here across central Iowa, and that radar is going to remain quiet as we get the remainder of this week, as we really see no major weather systems or moisture in place this week to generate showers or thunderstorms. Look at the headlines for this week. We have above average temperatures. Those are going to continue for the middle to end of this upcoming week and carry on into this weekend. Also, that comes with continued dryness as well. We could definitely use some rainfall. We are still holding on to a deficit, but unfortunately not going to see any of that until we get into the early part of next week when we see a pretty strong storm system approach the region. I'll talk about that here in just a moment. We have a lot of activity right now in the tropics. Let's head down to the south now. This is the Western Caribbean. We are looking at major Hurricane Delta, currently a Category 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 145 miles per hour. That system is moving off to the west-northwest, and it will impact the Yucatan Peninsula. We're talking in places particular like Cancun and Cozumel. So these locations are in direct line of fire for this storm system, and then that hurricane is going to move into the western Gulf of Mexico, where it is going to remain a very strong Category 3 to Category 4 storm, and then ultimately that will move up toward the Louisiana coastline as we get into the latter part of this week. Here, though, across the Midwest, we're not going to see any impacts from this hurricane because we are under the influence of this upper level ridge of high pressure, and you can see that's going to remain in control as we get through the next several days. You can see that ridge here beginning to flatten out as we get into Thursday, but that ridge promotes sinking and stable air and also the warm temperatures as well. So any Arctic air, any precipitation will be on hold as long as we keep this pattern in play. Here's a look at what that translates to in terms of your clouds and precipitation. You can see over the next several days, again, not much going on here across central Iowa, mainly looking at clear skies. Any clouds or precipitation that we see will be up to the north and northeast up along the Great Lakes region, and so really not too much going on here, a very uneventful next several days. Here's a look, though, as we get into this weekend and early next week, though, we're going to begin to watch the upper levels of the atmosphere begin to change as a very potent storm system moves into the western U.S. A strong low-pressure center will begin to organize on the front range of the Rockies as we get into early next week. That will draw up moisture and then eventually bring our next chance for showers and storms beginning off to the west on Sunday, carrying us through Monday and then to Tuesday next week. We'll be watching that system pretty closely. Could see a couple of strong to severe storms with that. Your forecast for tonight in Ames, 51 for the low under mostly clear skies. Tomorrow, 81, winds out of the north at 10 miles per hour, and it will be sunny. Here's a look at the hourly temperature forecast. You can see we start out in the low 50s in the morning, then quickly warming into the upper 70s to near 80 tomorrow afternoon. You can see those high temperatures will be well above the average high of 68 degrees. Here's a look at the extended outlook for the Ames area. Over the next several days, you can see warm and dry carrying us through Sunday with highs in the upper 70s to lower and mid 80s. Friday will be our warmest day with a high of 85, and then we'll be watching our storm system as it comes in next week with a chance of showers and storms on Monday and then to Tuesday, and then cooling down a little bit as we get into the middle of next week.
Thank you for that forecast, Trey. Let's review our weather question. About how many acres of land has the California wildfires burned? The correct answer is C, 4 million. That's all for this edition. Thank you for joining us for Size Eyes on the Skies. Please be sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Join us back here next week. Have a good night.